I definitely tell them that you can't be afraid of working. Mm-hmm. You're created to work.
Right.
Not to sit back and have someone take care of you.
True.
Not to sit back and just say, "Oh, don't worry about it. I know it's gonna come my way." That no, like we've been saying for some time now. Consider the ways of the ant.
Hey.
No one needs to tell you that you need to get to work.
Who has no master?
Right? He has no master, but makes provision. Okay, doing the work. What did Mama tell us all the time?
Hey.
A man that don't work
don't eat.
Okay.
What's going on, family? Kevin and Jesse here with you guys again on the Reset of Mind podcast. As always, our goal is to listen, learn, and grow. Jesse, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing amazing. The chair tried to take me out.
Man.
The devil tried to get me. Oh my God. He's a keeper. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Family, make sure that you guys like, follow, and subscribe to our Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook page. Go ahead and hit that little bell on YouTube so that you are notified every Wednesday morning when Jesse and I take you guys to work or wake up with you on Wednesday. What we're going to talk about today is the ring effect part 2, prelude to the ring. Had some requests to take a little bit deeper dive into a part of the conversation, partly about mixed messages sent across the aisle from men to women, and also how that can affect the dating process and then the process of being with a spouse, because so often some of us we get hoodwinked. Or we're out here hoodwinking, and then we end up, putting a ring on the wrong person. So there's a lot of that goes on, and then I remember I heard Papa preach a sermon. The Lord ain't called you to marry nobody and ruin their life.
Right.
So if you're out there ruining lives,
stop.
Quit it. But so in that conversation, Jesse, I'll let you go ahead and dive in first with the kind of with the mixed messages or the problem of maybe not being on the same wavelength, conveying clear thought.
Yeah.
Where does that take you?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like you said, the inability to communicate clearly with precision is an issue right now. The message is from men to women that we need certain things, and that these women are supposed to have certain things in order, in place, so that they can be courted and desired. When the response is, the reality is, it is us as men who need to have some things together first before that pursuit actually takes place.
Right.
And the prevailing thought from the body of believers is always that, hey, when the Creator brought Eve to Adam, everything was in place. That's a lie. Mm-hmm. Everything was not in place. Because if it was, then he would not have created and brought Eve to Adam, right? So the thing is, yes, as men, we got to have certain things in place, and a lot of those things are not high dollar income, because a lot of times it doesn't happen until you get this
35,
individual
45.
who can help you, and that's 35, 40 plus, because along the way we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to grow to a place to where we can accept, we're trying to figure out who we are, and what we are to become, and our place in this world in reference to our Creator, in reference to our brothers and sisters. So there's a lot going on there. So no, at that time, we really honestly don't need to bring anybody else, like you said, in reference to Papa. I'm going to ruin your life if I don't know who I am, where I'm going. I don't have any vision, any goals, any direction. So that was kind of the course of that particular continuation.
Sure. For men, the big, like you said, the prevailing problem is we get out here and, everybody wants to come out on game day. Mm-hmm. Right? We all want to put on the jersey. Yeah. We all want to show up to the big event. Mm-hmm. But there are so many small steps that lead up to game day.
Yes.
There is, did you watch film? Did you work out? Mm-hmm. Did you put in the work in the off season? Yeah. Did you do these things that lead up to, if you're professional, you play on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Did you do the things leading up to game day? And for men, Have you been reading your books?
Right.
Do you have a definite plan? And here's the thing, I understand not all plans work out.
That's okay.
Your plan may be to be, the best, t-shirt making entrepreneur ever. And it doesn't matter that there are a million other t-shirt makers.
No, it doesn't matter.
Because can't nobody make t-shirts like you.
Yeah.
And he told us all the time, can't nobody do what you do when
Right.
you do it in Jesus' name.
Right.
So if you want whatever you want to go do it.
Yes.
But it may not work out. But do you have some plan?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some sort of vision? And like we
Right.
said, a few episodes ago, the problem is there are so many of us men that will move without a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But we're not going to have this conversation to talk down upon men. What I want to do, fellas, is there are many resources
Right.
and sources out there.
Mm-hmm.
There are many books. One of my favorite authors, Napoleon Hill,
Mm-hmm.
one of his most prevailing messages is to get a definiteness of purpose.
Right.
Get a
Right.
clear line of thought. Get a definite purpose that you have for your life.
Yes.
So like you said, you're not out here just all helter-skelter, willy-nilly, and then you want to go bring somebody into that chaos,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it is.
Right.
Because if you have no plan, you're planning to fail, and you're just
Right.
going to thrust yourself into this chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And if you bring a woman into chaos, she's going to give you more
It
chaos.
multiplies. Yeah.
That's all that's going to happen.
Yes.
That is a recipe for failure. Whether you're
It is.
dating, whether you get married, and then
Mhm.
let alone if you go have some kids,
Right.
and then you just repeat the cycle
Yeah.
of chaos, poverty, death, unhealthiness, disease,
Right.
brokenness,
Right.
and it continues for generations until somebody
Right.
comes along and picks up a book, gets a mentor, watches something
That's right.
that changes the mindset, that
Yes.
changes the vector, the trajectory that they're on,
Mm-hmm.
to then go, oh, this is why my family doesn't have, success, doesn't have
Right.
wealth, hasn't operated in the fullness of our gifts and our purpose.
Right.
One, because at the top, the leadership probably wasn't no good.
There you go. And I think you hit home, a point for me, like you said, we're big on that. And let me, again, echo, we're not here trying to bash men because we are men,
Right.
right? We're here to listen, learn, and grow. And we're going to, definitely encourage, brothers across the world to do your very best to lead from the front.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do so, you have to work on you. Be willing to work on you. You have to be willing to admit that you aren't perfect,
Sure.
that you have downfalls, that you have things that you need to work on. And secondly, you have to be committed to actually doing the work. I'm the first to admit I'm far from perfect. Oh my God. Yeah, I'll mess up in a heartbeat.
Right.
In the quickness. But one thing that, like you said, that, Papa taught us, that my mom taught me, hey man, when you mess up, own what you do, right? And then you get up, look up, and you keep going.
Right.
Dust yourself off, right? So in order to do that, one of the resources that I know that I've used is Dr. Miles Monroe. He's no longer living with us, but his videos are still here. His books are still here.
Mm-hmm.
You want someone who has some wisdom and who has the ability to break it down and give you some practical steps to help improve your life, he's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Tony Evans is another who you can use.
Very good.
He's
Yeah.
still here. He's very good. His books, man, Kingdom Man, that thing will change
Great
your
one.
life.
It's a great one.
Right? So you go ahead and you take that there. Reverend R.C. Blakes, right? He's big here, YouTube, TikTok. Check him out because he gives a lot of advice, especially towards the dating and relationship world that is, again, also practical, that can help you. And another thing that we've done is got real life mentors to different aspects in our lives. So men, we're here to tell you, to let you know, hey, you have to reach out and you have to be willing to actually, apply, yourself to understand that you don't have it all, you don't have all the answers. And that's one of the first steps, like you said, to look for the answer, to know I don't know everything.
Right.
Let me look to Napoleon Hill, who, how many years ago wrote those books,
Man.
and they're still applicable today.
It's like he's walking the streets today,
Right.
With the things that he's saying that are going on, that are prevalent. I mean, so many of his, from Think and Grow Rich to Master Keys to Riches, Outwitting the Devil, probably my favorite one that he ever penned. They're going to make you take a deep look at yourself.
That's yourself, yes.
And go, oh
Yes.
man, I've been drifting.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been using my mind to its fullest potential.
That's right.
And I know one of
That's
his,
right.
one of my favorite quotes from Master Keys to Riches was, he said, the greatest sin of all is to lose faith in the Almighty Creator
Mm-hmm.
that created everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us of the household of faith, how many of us walk around today
Yeah.
and we don't have a faith that we truly believe. Like I can go to church all Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we got too many of that. Too much of that.
I can go from 8 o'clock to 8. I can be there, and this ain't really in today's time, but I could go to BTU. I could go to youth group. I could go to choir practice, even though I don't sing in the choir.
Right.
I go to kids choir, but still bust hell wide open.
Pretty much.
Because I don't really have an active faith.
Yeah.
I'm not doing, like you said, I'm not doing, any work.
Doing work.
I think the big thing, like you said, in being able to reach out, being humble enough.
Yes.
To admit as a man we don't
Yeah.
have it all together, because here's the thing: society from your birth tells you have to have all the answers.
Right.
They tell you have to have everything together. So there is this false narrative that if you don't, you are failing.
Yes.
Let me say this again: no man or woman is an island unto themselves.
No.
That
No,
is
no.
why that mentorship process is such a pivotal part in you growing from being a young boy to an adolescent, to a young man, to manhood. And so many of us, because, we don't seek out or we don't have a mentor, close to us, we stay in that young manhood.
Right.
And
Right.
so, one thing I know in some of the conversations we had since our last episode, about the ring effect was, what is it that men are wanting from women, and why sometimes there may be men intimidated by women that
Yes.
move in the marketplace, that are, operating in their gifts, that are operating in their purpose, that, seem and are fearless.
Yes.
And if you have a man, or if you are in talks with a man that is telling you that if you're successful, what man would want you, that's a tough one. Because for me, I don't know any man that wants a do nothing.
Right. Right.
I don't know any woman that wants to do nothing.
Right.
Right?
Definitely know that.
No, I don't know anybody that's of a sound mind that wants a spouse partner
Yeah.
that's a do nothing in
Right.
any relationship, in
Right.
any form of relationship.
Yeah.
You don't want to do nothing financially.
Yeah.
You don't want to do nothing physically. You don't want to do nothing spiritually.
That's the fastest way to get cut.
Man, and the next thing you know, you on waiver wires. And because you was a do nothing in the
Do
bed,
nothing. Yeah.
somebody was doing something else in your
something.
bed.
That's right.
Don't be mad.
That's right.
You need to do something. But I digress. But I think the problem with that, when it comes into, if somebody is intimidated by another operating in their gifts, and especially for men, is because we haven't moved into a place of operating in our dominion and not in our dominance. Because both of us, having a son, you understand quick, and you can see it now, that they operate quickly in their dominance, and their goal is to dominate.
Yes.
And you have to
Yes.
teach
Yes.
dominion.
Yes.
So what is the way that we can move from operating in our dominance, because it's ingrained in us to be the lion,
Right.
to roar, to make sure we assert our dominance mentally, physically, however it needs to come across,
Yeah.
to then finding peace and understanding. Let me operate in my dominion.
I think, you said it, right? To operate, to possess the peace of our Creator will help us move from, trying to dominate everything, to understand the world and the realm around us, that dominion is our birthright.
Right.
Right? So because of that, I don't have to force these things upon you. These things just are. So because they are, and I am responsible for them, I don't have to lord
Over you.
Not at all. And like you said, as a man, I'm not offended by high achieving women.
Right.
Let's just bring it home to a practical level. That is a supreme turn on. You
Facts.
operating in your gifts.
Man.
You're in pursuit of your education. You're in pursuit of your side hustle. I see you going to work and doing your thing, and you're taking care of that first ministry
Right.
at home.
Yep.
So like you said, if there is a guy who says that, because you are a six-figure earner, because you already have the Mercedes, because you already have that 3,000 square foot home, no man is going to want you. That's a weak-minded man. That's a man that is not connected to his Creator, that isn't connected to himself, that doesn't know the value of a woman.
Right.
So to our sisters out there, the guys that are, spouting this foolishness, you recognize a fool by the words that come out of his mouth. The proverb writer says.
Right.
So understand when someone is espousing such idiotic ideas, that's what they are.
Right.
Right? Because how am I to tell you, because you begin to operate in your gifting, in your talents, and in the skills you've acquired, that you are a high income earner, that, oh my gosh, no man wants you.
That's crazy, man.
That's nuts.
I mean, again, if you're just making it practical, in the USA, now I've never lived in another country.
Right.
Never lived in another country. In the USA, it takes money to live.
Oh,
day
yes.
to day.
Oh,
every
yeah.
day.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's one of the things you need.
Yeah.
Right? No, wherever it comes from.
Yeah.
You need money. It's just, I think it comes from, again, like you said, being, not understanding the value of each other. And how, as a king, I have a vision. I just need a queen to touch it.
Right.
And
Right.
she's going to make it more than I ever thought
She's going to multiply
it was ever possible to become.
Yes.
And that's the value. Because she's gonna know how to move in the marketplace.
That's right.
She's gonna know the people that need to be talked to.
Like, who moves the best on the chessboard?
It's the queen.
Okay.
Any direction, as many
Okay.
spaces as possible.
Okay.
And normally, if you
Right.
get the pawn to the other side, do you turn him into a rook? No.
No.
Do you turn him into a bishop? Probably not. You normally turn it into another queen. Why? Because, like you said, they have the most moves. They have the most power.
Right.
On the chessboard.
Right.
But it comes back to the conversation of value,
Right.
and holding that value in all of the gifts and talents that that women possess and that they are, because there is a lot there, and if you are able to begin to operate in your dominion and appreciate those things,
Right.
and again understand it doesn't make you less of a man to serve.
It makes you more of one. You were here. Again, to the conversation. Okay. It coincides with the submission conversation. Right? People get upset at this particular word. Submission is a power play. So if a woman chooses to operate in such, that is the ultimate power play. And again, if this is the case, that means this man is also submitting to the Creator. Okay? He's not making a move until he's checked in.
He's acknowledged in all his
right?
ways.
You have to acknowledge him before you make a move. You ought to make the plan, but it is the Creator who says, yes, we're going to go this way. Nope, you should go over here and do this.
Commit your works.
Commit your works, right? Your thoughts are committed and your ways, are going to be established because of such. So, we're going here in this submissive thing, right? We're understanding that, hey, man, the power then lies there. Okay, so in order for me, when I recognize that this power play has been given, then my leadership has to be prefaced with service.
Right.
It's servant leadership. Then, as a man, brother, I'm finna help you out. As a man, if you want something done, you have to do it first.
True.
You're showing the willingness to go ahead and say, hey, yeah, this floor is dirty. I'm gonna mop it. Okay? Because the reality is, hey, this individual here is a helper along the way to you, right? There, helping. Okay, cool. So you want it done, you do it first.
Right.
Need to be vacuumed, you do it. Food to be cooked, you get it cooked.
Right.
Right? So that when she sees you doing these things, oh, yeah, I can do that and I can multiply it.
Very true. I mean, because, most women will say, if the man cleans the house, you got to go back behind him.
Right. Well, I mean,
Because
right.
he didn't do it, to her standards, to get in every crevice.
Thank you. Their vision is different from ours.
Like you say, the attention to detail.
The attention to detail, there is none greater.
Very, very true. Very, very true. One of the big things that I feel will help is, again, we go back to the conversation of when we talk, to each other, wrap it in love.
Yes. Yes.
If you're wrap it in love, and then also understand that before you move into giving somebody a ring and wanting somebody to come in, into your empire, into your kingdom, have those very tough conversations.
Oh yeah.
And if in the negotiation of that contract, there are some things, some clauses, some addendums that you just can't rock with on either side, it is okay to say, hey, man, that ain't for me.
Yeah.
Men, it's okay for you to say, hey, that ain't for me. No disrespect doesn't make you a bad person.
No,
that's
it
not
doesn't.
for me. Women, it's perfectly fine for you to say, hey, Johnny, cool guy.
Yeah.
Had some great times, but that's not for me.
Yep.
Not gonna hitch my wagon to that for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then we'll go ahead and we'll move on and we'll go on down the road. But because again, society places that, sometimes that pressure, and maybe not as much now because you see people, waiting a little bit longer before they get married.
Yeah.
But there's still a pressure, from many families, from many cultures. If you look up and you're 30 and you don't have a husband or a wife and some kids, that they feel like you're not doing something right in life. But maybe you understand that you're still going through some phases.
Right.
That you don't need to bring anybody else on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you need to be to yourself.
And that's okay.
Because you with 2 or 3 right now, and you just need to do that before you go messing up anybody else's life.
Right.
So again, it's understanding what season you're in. But if you will have these conversations and wrap them in love, because as men, we can talk to each other with a certain level of aggression.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong.
Nothing
with that.
wrong with that.
I don't feel threatened. You don't feel threatened.
Right.
I don't take offense. You don't take offense.
Right.
But then if you then take that same conversation and you have it with a woman, whether it be a sister, cousin, aunt, co-worker, wife, daughter, and you carry just that same level of aggression,
the same tone,
it's probably not going to come off the same. It's not going to be received the same.
No.
You're going to come off as threatening, abrasive, and that wasn't your intent.
Right.
Right? And it goes back to the miscommunication on both parts.
Yeah.
When we talk to women, we have to make sure that we wrap those things in love. So therefore, they cannot be like, "Oh, I need to get defensive."
Yeah.
Because I don't know where this thing might go.
Yep.
I don't know what this conversation might lead to. Because again, you never know what kind of traumas or triggers somebody is dealing with.
That's right.
But if you do that, then we can all listen. We can all listen. Like you say all the time, the language that we speak to each other with. Sisters, let me say this: if you talk to a man, and when you're talking to him, if you're rapping in love, and the way we receive love is through respect. And again, if you're always telling a man what he's not, what he can't be, what he shouldn't be,
what he needs to do,
right, then if you get met with, there's a couple forms of resistance.
Yeah.
One, we're going to have a lot of arguments. Or 2, I'm just going to tune you out. And I'm going to go, here's the thing. If somebody says they're not going to do this, this is a lie. They are going to go find peace somewhere. Because that is our number one overall goal.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna go find peace somewhere. Sometimes I find it where I shouldn't.
Right.
And I'd be 100% wrong.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna go do, I'm going to go find peace.
Where peace is, yes.
Because again, that's what the book tells me. It's better to dwell on the housetop,
right,
than in the house
with a quarrel.
Hey, not gonna do it.
Not at all.
The same way you don't want to be, cussed at, and you shouldn't be.
No, you should not.
You shouldn't be, yelled at, cussed at, threatened.
No.
Because again, that's not a man. You should be talked to in love and with love.
Yeah.
Right? However y'all's conversation flows. But if you will then, return that, if we will all do that, then the aspects of just that basic communication in relationships will become, so much better. What is it now, for us to, to mentor, some of the younger men? And one of the problems that I see, and maybe you can put the positive on this, is that you see so many of these quote unquote gurus.
Oh my gosh.
And, they'll be talking to men, and sometimes women, but they don't want to tell the truth.
Right.
They don't want to, they want to make everything seem like it's all roses or like it's all men's fault. It's all women's fault.
Right.
But then the next thing, you're not going to mention no names.
Right.
But then the next thing you know, they got caught up in the scandal.
Right. Right.
And it's not to say that people don't mess up, because they do. There was only one blameless.
And I think that's part of the problem, is that, if you want to come out and your goal, is to help, then that's what you say. Like you said, we're not going to be out here like gurus and this, that, and the other. No. Understand that we all mess up. We all fail, and that's on a day-to-day basis. And some of them are big, and some of them are small.
Sure.
You know, but the reality is, if we're gonna help, then we got to be real in terms of just saying like, man, I failed. I was supposed to do a few things, and I knew it was a pet peeve, and I slow played, didn't get it done, and that really piss somebody off.
Right.
Like that's how you're being helpful. Okay, well, what should I do? Then you should try to be other minded first. And therefore hey, if this is something that's going to really agitate this individual, let me go ahead and try to not do that.
Right.
Right? So the issue is they're saying, like you said, it's all men's fault, it's all women's fault. No, not at all. Okay? So we understand, we're the responsible party at the end.
Sure. But
both parties play a part.
Right.
And so both parties have to take ownership in what has transpired. Somebody might do something that is quote unquote incorrect. But you want to say, oh, it's all their fault. Well, no. If they're dealing with you, y'all are dealing with one another, okay? This other person has a role in what the offending party has done.
Sure.
Okay, and we need these gurus to be able to say, hey, we got to talk about both sides of this thing,
right?
Because it works both ways, no matter what. So I think that's part of the issue, man. They're not addressing the fact that the only time it's all your fault when you by yourself.
That is true. The thing is, and let me say this. I'm gonna digress just for a minute, but it'll be along the same lines. There are a lot of people out here that are giving out relationship advice, that are giving out parenting advice, that are giving out dating advice, that aren't doing it.
Right.
That aren't dating.
Oh my God.
They're not parenting, nor are they married. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that somebody who isn't a parent can't give you some advice, on what may be good for your child. But that's more of an opinion.
Right.
I'm not saying that somebody who has never been married can't tell you, well, maybe you should operate in love. Right? I'm not saying that somebody who has never dated can't tell you, maybe you shouldn't go over to Johnny's house at midnight.
Right.
Maybe that gives over a bad perception. Or maybe Johnny shouldn't be at your house.
Right.
At 2 a.m. Not saying those things, but too often we are latching on to the advice of people who have no practical experience.
Right.
In any of these fields. And again, I can obtain all the knowledge I want. But until I do some field study,
that's different.
How am I actually going to tell you, well, when I was pissed off because of XYZ, this is how I responded or didn't respond. And I can either tell you, hey, this worked out for me, or this didn't work out for me.
Right.
So if you have some mentors, like it's like this. If I have a mentor in fitness, but they are not fit, I probably made a bad decision. If I have a quote unquote financial mentor who is broke and has a gambling addiction, I probably made a bad decision in who I hitch my wagon to as well. So in these conversations, when you're talking to these people, again, it's the vetting process. And if somebody's not willing to be real with you, they're not willing to, tell you, some practical applications, whether it was past relationships or current relationships that they've, been through and things that they've done, then you may want to check and see, do I really need to keep up this mentee program? Make sure whoever you are taking this advice from has some practical experience, because I think that's one of the greatest parts. So therefore, it becomes real. Just like when John said, "The Word was made flesh, and dwelt among us." It walked among us for a reason. So therefore, I can never come question it. That it's never had to deal with what I dealt with. Because it's lived it, walked it, and talked it already, and lived blameless. And worked its work. What are some of the, if you were to, talk to, a young brother who was, trying to find his way in life, what would be, 2 or 3 things you would say, hey man, you may want to do these things and prelude to the ring before you think about going down that road?
Okay. Number one, I would definitely tell him to make sure that he is in alignment with his creator.
Okay.
That he knows his creator, because it's going to help him know himself.
Sure.
To understand that, you know, he's fallible.
Right.
That you're going to make mistakes, but it doesn't define you. That you can't stay down.
Man, you can come back from it.
Right? That you can.
Because nothing
right?
can separate you from the love.
Nothing at all. Right? In this life, you shall have trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer because I've already overcome this world. You're an overcomer. That is a part of your heritage.
More than a conqueror.
Right? You're more than a conqueror. So understand that you're going to misstep.
Right.
But your missteps, again, they don't define who you are. So you need to know your creator well. Right, not just the book knowledge of him, but that you've had some experience. That there are some things in this life that he has done for you that no one can make you doubt him.
Know too much about
because
him.
You know too much about him, right? You just the two have to mesh at some point in time. Your book knowledge and the experience that I may know him and the power of his resurrection, right? These things have to become real to you because the experience is what makes the thing solid in your mind.
Right.
Okay? So that has to be there. Number two, the young man, I definitely tell him that you can't be afraid of working. You're created to work.
Right.
Not to sit back and have someone take care of you. True. Not to sit back and just say, "Oh, don't worry about it. I know it's gonna come my way." That no, like we've been saying for some time now. Consider the ways of the ant.
Hey.
No one needs to tell you that you need to get to work.
Who has no master?
Right? He has no master, but makes provision. Okay, doing the work. What did Mama tell us all the time?
Hey.
A man that don't work
don't eat.
Okay, so you have to know that above all, because of what transpired in that garden, by the sweat of your brow, you are going to work. So if you embrace hard work at an early age, if you embrace hard work, you're not afraid of doing the work, then there ain't nothing that you can't have. There's nothing that you cannot accomplish, and that you're making preparation for you as you go from your young adulthood to your manhood, that you're able to provide for this individual that you want to give a ring to.
Right.
Okay? So that, know your creator, be able to work. Okay? Be able to work. And then number three, just understand that you don't know everything. Humility. Humility that is covered by love is going to keep you.
Man, it is. You know, one thing, like you said, you know, being in line with your creator, there is a name that we call him. The name is El Shaddai, and it means the all-sufficient one.
Yes.
And if you're made in his image and likeness, this is again, if you are of the household of faith in the body of believers, if you were made in the image and likeness of the all-sufficient one, that means you were given the tools.
Right.
You were given the tools, the gifts, and the properties to be all-sufficient.
Right.
Through him.
Right.
Like you said, if you have that alignment, you can be those things.
Yes.
So therefore, when you do choose to bring somebody into your world and say, "Hey, this is my plan, this is my goal, this is my vision,"
yes,
you have all the tools necessary to go get that thing done. And again, family, I can't stress enough that in this, you know, communication process, if somebody says, "Hey, man, I don't want you," hey, you might plead your case for a little bit.
Right.
You might try to sell that thing for a little bit. But if they just don't want you, big dog,
okay,
hey, that's all right. You wish them the best and pray God shine his face upon them every day.
God bless you.
Hey, and you move on
yes.
through your business. Again, if in those contract negotiations, it comes along and there are just some things that you can't deal with. There are just some things that, man, or what they're saying, it just sounds like they don't want you.
Yeah.
Don't chase who don't want you.
Nope. Don't do it.
And don't be offended if somebody comes along and they say, "Oh, you know, I want a man who sits in the corner desk and makes, you know, $250K a year, and we live in the penthouse in New York, but your dream is to go be the best NASCAR mechanic on the planet."
Right.
Well, you're not going to the corner desk, though.
No.
And if you end up marrying this individual, y'all are gonna have hell.
Yes. Facts.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just what it's gonna be, because you have again hoodwinked somebody into being with you. You might have sold them. Yeah, I'll go work the corner. I'll go work the desk job and work my way up. But all the time you on YouTube watching videos about putting engines together.
Yes.
And you're unhappy. Then you quit that and you go put engines together.
Yes.
And she didn't want to go through that struggle with you.
No.
That wasn't what she wanted. But you set both of y'all up for failure. Women, if a guy got a plan that you just can't rock with,
Okay.
hey, it's all right.
It's okay.
It's okay. Go on. Go continue about your work.
That's right.
Pursuing your career and your goals and your things and being encouraged. And the right one will find you.
For sure.
And then you won't have that hell. You won't have as many of those headaches
Right.
as to come. Because no marriage is perfect.
No.
No dating
Not at all.
process is super easy.
Nope.
And again, it's not real unless it's been tried and tested.
Pretty much.
Because when you go to forge steel, it's got to go through some things.
Yeah.
When you need a diamond,
Through the fire.
it takes some pressure
Yeah.
to make it. So if there's never been any pressure, if there's never been,
There's never-
if there's never been any test
Right.
that y'all have had to pass,
Right.
that had to activate that faith, we just have to question the quality
Right. The relationship, huh?
of what that thing is. Family, we sure do appreciate you guys for tuning in with us today. Hopefully you were able to listen, learn, and grow. Make sure you hop in the comments and let us know what you think. Make sure you also follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll talk to you guys later.
This what